All right, so this is number 4 continued, and this is the problems that are, let's see, D, E, and F maybe. Um, yeah, D, F, and G. I guess there's a skip there. So we'll start with D, and D is a whole number, and we are subtracting a fraction. So there are a couple of ways to do this one, but kind of keeping in context with the way that I did the mixed number problem last time, I'm going to do that as well. And what I'm going to do is something referred to as borrowing. So 0 minus something we can't do, but I can borrow to get something that I can. So I'm going to borrow from the 5 and make this a 4. And then over here, this has to be in terms of 15ths. So 1 in terms of 15th, that 1 that I borrowed, is 15/15ths, right? That's the 1 that I borrowed. So now I can subtract. 15 minus 8 is 7, and that's 7/15ths. And then 124 minus nothing is 124. And that's quite easily probably the easiest way to do this problem once you get through the idea here of what it is to borrow. Now, as we go along to the next one, we have another problem that we're going to need to borrow, but this time it's going to feel a little bit different, though it's not really, because we already have something there. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to add that 1 in that we're going to borrow. We're going to add that 1 in to what already exists. So we have something up here in the numerator that's smaller than this in the denominator. You can't subtract, and you can't make a negative number in the numerator. You can't go backwards because subtraction is not commutative. So what we're going to do is we're going to borrow from the 9, make it an 8, and we're going to take that 1 and we're going to add it in over here. Now that 1 has to be in terms of the denominator here. So what I'm adding in is 739 739ths. So there's my 1. So now I had 13 already, and I'm going to add that to 739. So 3 and 9, that would make 12, and then carry the 1. 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 1 more is 5, and that's going to make 752, and that's 739ths. Now this, nothing has to happen, so I'll just carry this over here so it makes more sense as I subtract. So now I can do numerators subtracted. So 2 minus 3, I can't do it, I have to borrow, so that's going to become 4. And then 12 minus 3, that's going to give me 9. And 4 minus 2 is 2. And then 7 minus nothing is 7. So I have 729 over 739. And then I can subtract over here. So 8 minus 9, I can't do it, so I'll have to borrow. And then 18 minus 9 is 9. And 4 minus 1 is 3. And then 8 minus 3 is 5. And then the last thing that we'd have to do is to check to make sure that this doesn't reduce. And this one would be a little bit on the difficult side because you're going to have to find if there are any numbers here that will go into either of these. Now, because these are so close, it's very unlikely that they do indeed reduce, and I can tell you with certainty that they do not reduce. So there's nothing we're going to be able to do for that, and we're done with it right there. Now our last one is kind of the opposite idea. This one is the carrying idea. So we have 3,895 and 256 277ths. Now this problem, if you try to do this with improper fractions, is going to be a nightmare, and that was very purposeful on my part, I'm sorry to say, because I really want you to learn how to do these with the mixed numbers. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the numerators because the denominators are the same, right? So 6 and 9, that's 15, so carry the 1. And then 5 and 1 is 6, and 6 plus 2 is 8. And then 2 and nothing is 2. And then we have 285 and that's 277ths. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add these because I'm going to do something else over here. So 9 and 5 makes 14, carry the 1. 10 and 5 makes 15, carry the 1. 8 and 6 and 1 make 15, carry the 1, and that's 4. Now I'm not done because the numerator is larger than my denominator. So it's not allowed to just be done. I actually have to come up here and I have to say that this is 4,554, and then plus, because a mixed number is the whole number portion plus the fractional portion. And I'm going to change this into a mixed number. 277 goes into 285 one time, and then I need to subtract. So I'm going to be subtracting 285 minus 277. That's just from a division. So I'm going to borrow, and that's 7, and 15 minus 7 is 8. That's 0, and that's 0. So I have 8 277ths left over. 8 is only made up of a bunch of 2's, and 277 is not divisible by that, so that fraction is not going to reduce. So now I'm going to add together those whole numbers. So that's going to become 4,555, and then 8 277ths, and then my answer will be complete.